Here's a truth that will make you uncomfortable. Your enemies don't fear your anger. They don't fear your threats. They don't even fear your strength. What they fear is something far more dangerous: your complete indifference to their games. Marcus Aurelius controlled an empire, not through rage, but through a power so quiet, so unshakable, that it made grown men tremble without him ever raising his voice. Today, I'm going to show you how to wield that same psychological weapon. How to become so centered, so unbreakable, that your very presence shifts the energy in any room. This isn't about becoming a tyrant, this is about becoming untouchable. Most men confuse fear with respect. They think if they can make someone afraid of their temper, their threats, or their retaliation, they've gained power. But here's what the Stoics understood that modern men have forgotten. True power isn't about making people fear what you'll do to them. It's about making them fear what they can't do to you. When you master yourself completely, when you become immune to their manipulation, their drama, their attempts to pull you into their chaos, that's when you become truly dangerous. Not because you'll hurt them, but because you've made yourself unhurtable. The ancient Stoics discovered something that sounds like a contradiction, but is actually the deepest truth about human psychology: the less you need to control others, the more control you actually have. The less you react to their provocations, the more power you hold over the situation. Think about it. When someone tries to anger you and you explode, who's really in control? They pushed a button and you danced. They said words and you gave them exactly the reaction they wanted. In that moment, they own you. But when someone throws their worst at you and you remain unmoved, not pretending to be calm, but genuinely unaffected, something shifts. They realize their weapons don't work on you, and that realization is terrifying to them. Here's what happens in the mind of someone who can't manipulate you: panic. Their entire strategy for dealing with people is based on emotional leverage. They push, you react. They threaten, you fear. They guilt trip, you comply. It's a predictable dance they've mastered. But when you don't play their game, when you respond to their manipulation with genuine calm, you break their entire framework for understanding human interaction. They don't know what to do with someone they can't control through emotion. Seneca wrote, "The man who is not disturbed by anything is a man who has understood the true nature of things." This isn't about suppressing your emotions, it's about understanding them so deeply that external circumstances lose their power to hijack your internal state. Your enemies reveal more about themselves when they can't affect you than they ever do when they can. When you remain calm in the face of their chaos, you become a mirror that reflects their dysfunction back to them. And most people can't handle seeing themselves clearly. They expect you to match their energy, to get angry when they're angry, to get defensive when they attack, to get pulled into their drama when they create chaos. When you don't, when you remain centered and clear, it forces them to confront something they've been avoiding: their own lack of self-control. This is why truly centered people make others uncomfortable. Your peace highlights their chaos. Your stability exposes their instability. Your self-control reveals their lack of discipline. You become a living reminder of what they could be but aren't. The Stoics called it apatheia, not apathy as we understand it today, but a kind of emotional invulnerability. It doesn't mean you don't care about anything. It means you don't let external circumstances determine your internal state. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal from his most trusted general, Avidius Cassius, who declared himself emperor while Marcus was still alive. Instead of flying into a rage, instead of immediately ordering his execution, Marcus remained calm. He studied the situation, made rational decisions, and when Cassius was eventually killed by his own soldiers, Marcus showed mercy to his family. This response wasn't weakness. It was the most powerful thing he could have done. It showed everyone watching that Marcus Aurelius couldn't be shaken, couldn't be pulled from his center, couldn't be made to act rashly even under the most extreme provocation. Here's where most men get it wrong. They think being stoic means being passive. They think it means accepting disrespect or letting people walk over them. That's not Stoicism, that's doormat behavior. Wearing a philosophical mask, real Stoic power is about controlled response, not no response. When someone crosses a line, you deal with it, but you deal with it from a place of centered strength, not reactive emotion. You choose your battles based on principle, not on how fired up you feel in the moment. The difference is this: reactive men lash out when they're hurt. Stoic men strike when it serves justice. Reactive men explode when they're disrespected. Stoic men respond with measured consequences that serve a larger purpose. One of the most underestimated weapons in the Stoic arsenal is strategic silence. Not the passive-aggressive kind that's really just anger in disguise, but the kind that comes from genuine self-possession. When someone is trying to provoke you, when they're throwing accusations or insults or trying to drag you into an argument, sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Just let them exhaust themselves against your silence. This does two things. First, it forces them to confront the emptiness of their own words. Second, it demonstrates a level of self-control that most people can't comprehend, let alone match. Your frame is your interpretation of reality. It's how you see yourself, how you see others, and how you see the situation you're in. When you have an unshakable frame, other people's attempts to redefine reality bounce off you like rain off a roof. This is what makes truly powerful men so intimidating. It's not their physical presence, or their resources, or their connections. It's the fact that they define reality instead of letting reality define them. They walk into any situation knowing who they are and what they stand for, and that certainty is unshakable. When someone tries to make you doubt yourself, to make you question your worth, to make you feel small or guilty or ashamed, and you don't budge, when you remain solid in your self-knowledge, it reveals something about the nature of reality that most people don't want to face, that we choose. How we interpret everything that happens to us. Stoic power operates on a different timeline than reactive power. Reactive men want immediate satisfaction, immediate revenge, immediate validation. Stoic men play the long game. They understand that the most devastating response to an enemy isn't immediate retaliation. It's becoming so successful, so centered, so unshakable that the enemy's attacks become irrelevant. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Every time someone tries to bring you down and fails to move you, they make you stronger. Every time they waste their energy on someone who won't be affected by it, they make themselves weaker. Here's a practical framework that the Stoics used. Before responding to any provocation, ask yourself 3 questions. First, is this worth my energy? Second, will responding serve a purpose beyond satisfying my ego? Third, what would the highest version of myself do in this situation? Most of the time, you'll find that the highest version of yourself doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. The highest version of yourself is too busy building something meaningful to get distracted by people who are trying to tear things down. The strongest men don't need to prove their strength. The most intelligent men don't need to prove their intelligence. The most powerful men don't need to prove their power. When you truly possess something, you don't need to advertise it constantly. This is why insecure people are so threatened by genuinely confident people. Confident people aren't trying to prove anything, which means they can't be baited into the comparison games that insecure people use to feel better about themselves. When you stop needing external validation, when you stop needing to win every argument, when you stop needing everyone to like you or respect you or fear you, you become truly free. And free men are the most dangerous men of all. Not because they'll hurt you, but because they can't be controlled. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Where you put your focus determines the quality of your life. When you spend your days thinking about people who don't like you, responding to critics who don't matter, or trying to prove yourself to people whose opinions are worthless, you're giving away your power. Stoic men are ruthless about protecting their mental energy. They understand that every moment spent reacting to negativity is a moment not spent building something positive. Every ounce of energy wasted on people who don't deserve it is energy that could have gone toward people who do. The ultimate victory over your enemies isn't defeating them. It's making them irrelevant. It's building a life so full of purpose, so rich with meaning, so aligned with your values that their attempts to disturb your peace become like background noise you barely notice. When Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy," he wasn't just giving moral advice. He was revealing a strategic truth. The most devastating thing you can do to someone who wants to bring you down is to rise so far above their level that their attacks can't reach you. This kind of power isn't built overnight. It's built through daily practice, daily choices, daily decisions to respond rather than react. Every time you choose calm over chaos, every time you choose response over reaction, every time you choose your own center over someone else's chaos, you're building psychological muscle. Start small. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of letting it ruin your mood, use it as training. The next time someone tries to push your buttons at work, instead of taking the bait, practice maintaining your center. The next time someone disrespects you, instead of immediately striking back, pause and ask yourself what response would serve your long-term goals. Here's what happens when you master this. You become magnetic to the right people and repellent to the wrong ones. People who are drawn to drama, who feed on chaos, who need others to be as miserable as they are. They can't stand being around genuinely centered people. You naturally filter them out of your life. But people who are also working on themselves, who value peace and purpose and growth, are drawn to that energy. You start attracting better friends, better opportunities, better relationships. You become a lighthouse, steady, unmovable, and valuable to anyone trying to navigate difficult waters. The Stoics understood something that modern men have forgotten. True power comes from within. It comes from mastering yourself so completely that external circumstances lose their ability to control you. It comes from being so solid in your own center that other people's chaos can't shake you. Your enemies don't fear your anger because anger is predictable. They don't fear your threats because threats are often empty. They don't fear your retaliation because retaliation is just another move in their game. What they fear is your complete self-possession. What they fear is your refusal to play their game. What they fear is the realization that they have no power over someone who has truly mastered themselves. This is the path of the modern Stoic warrior. Not the man who fights every battle, but the man who chooses his battles from a place of centered strength. Not the man who reacts to every provocation, but the man who responds with intentional power. You are not at the mercy of other people's emotions. You are not required to dance to their music. You are not obligated to give them the reactions they're seeking. You have a choice. You can remain centered. You can maintain your frame. You can protect your energy for what truly matters. That choice, made consistently, daily, moment by moment, is what transforms an ordinary man into an unshakable force. If this resonates with you, if you're ready to stop giving your power away to people who don't deserve it, comment below. I control my response. Let me know you're committed to building this unshakable inner strength. And remember, the goal isn't to become cold or disconnected. The goal is to become so grounded in your own values, so clear about your own purpose, that external chaos can't pull you off course. Your enemies fear what they can't control. Make yourself uncontrollable.